Hi everyone, Monisha here. In this video, we will be learning about the new chapter, complex numbers and quadratic equations. So this video consists of only the introduction and the basic explanation about complex numbers and the formulas of quadratic equations. Here I have included the definition of complex number, the conjugate of it, how to draw the complex number plane, and also the quadratic equation formula, the way of finding out the square root of a negative number, the modulus, etc. So these are the introductory part. So this year, because of the COVID pandemic, they have reduced some of the topics in this chapter. Here the polar representation and also one of the other topic is also not there. And rest of the things they have retained. I hope you will understand and watch the video till the end. Let us start the session. First is imaginary unit. You can't take the square root of a negative number. If you use imaginary units, you can. The imaginary unit is signified by the English alphabet I, that is small letter I, because I is equal to square root of -1. So when negative number comes, for example, -3, then the square root of -3 is signified as -1 into 3 in the square root. That square root of -1 is considered as I. So the significance of I is an imaginary unit which gives the square root of a negative number. It is used to write the square root of a negative number. In this, the number which is inside the root is A, called as radicand, and which is out is said to be index, which is denoted as B. So A, which is inside the square root, is a radicand, and which is outside the square root is B, which is an index. Property of a square root of negative number. If R is positive real number, then square root of -R is equal to I root R. Example, minus root 3 is I root 3 and root of -4 is I root 4. Let us move on to the main topic, complex numbers. Complex numbers. A complex number is a number consisting of a real and imaginary part. Imaginary part means it will be having a negative number, a negative part. A negative part is said to be imaginary part, whereas a positive part is said to be a real part. So in a number that is A plus BI, A is considered as the real part and BI is considered as the imaginary part, whereas I is equal to square root of -1. So why complex numbers are introduced? Equations like x square is equal to -1 do not have a solution within the real numbers. Real numbers means negative number, positive number and 0. Whereas in the case of square roots, a negative number doesn't have a square root. In order to solve this type of problems, imaginary numbers or complex numbers has been introduced. So complex numbers means -1 or any negative number is given an imaginary alphabet as a constant. That is I is equal to square root of -1. So the value square root of -1 is given by just an alphabet I, or I square, which is simply is equal to -1. I square is equal to -1 or I is equal to square root of -1. So what are complex numbers? A number consisting of two parts, one real and one imaginary. For real numbers A and B, the number A plus BI is a complex number. A and B can be real numbers, whereas A and BI, if it is joined, it will be a complex number. If B is 0, the complex number reduces to A, which is a pure real number. If A is 0, the complex number reduces to BI, which is a pure imaginary number. In other words, all numbers, real and imaginary, are in the set of complex numbers. The combination of real and imaginary numbers make up the complex number system. So A is the real part and BI is the imaginary part. All numbers can be expressed as complex numbers. Simply these three can be represented as 3 plus 0i, whereas the imaginary part will be 0 here. And minus 6i can be given as 0 minus 6i, whereas the real part is 0. The complex conjugate of a complex number z is equal to x plus jy is denoted by z star or z dash, and it is given by z star is equal to x minus jy. Conjugate is the exact opposite form of it. If a plus bi is a complex number, then the complex conjugate is a minus bi. Two complex numbers a plus bi and c plus di are equal if a is equal to c and b is equal to d. Let us know about the properties of complex number. The following properties of real numbers holds good for complex numbers also. That is, associative properties of addition and multiplication, commutative properties of addition and multiplication, distributive property of multiplication over addition. So these are the properties which comes under complex numbers. Let us know about complex conjugate. The complex conjugate of a complex number z is equal to x plus iy denoted by z star. I have already told you. So z star is equal to x minus iy. So this x minus iy is the complex conjugate of x plus iy. And also z star is the complex conjugate of z. Another topic is the modulus or absolute value. The modulus or absolute value is defined by z is equal to square root of x square plus y square. So this is said to be the modulus of the complex number. So complex numbers. The real numbers and imaginary numbers are the subsets of a set of complex numbers. So real and imaginary both comes under complex number, because the combination of both a real and imaginary number is said to be a complex number. Equal complex number. Two complex numbers are equal if their real parts are equal and the imaginary parts are equal. I have already told you. If we consider two complex number, one is a plus bi and the one is c plus di. We can say this a plus bi is equal to c plus di only and only in the case if a is equal to c and b is equal to d. If this a and c and b and d are not equal, then these two complex number will never become equal. So this is the condition of equal complex number. There are other properties of complex numbers: addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. First is addition of complex number. So this is the way to add two complex numbers. If the complex number is a plus bi plus c plus di, we need to add in this format, that is a plus c plus b plus di. For example, if 2 plus 3i and 1 plus 5i are two complex number, the sum of these two complex number will be 2 plus 1 plus 3 plus 5i. So 2 plus 1 is 3 and 3 plus 5 is 8i. Here the real part is 3 and the imaginary part is 8i. In the same way, subtraction of complex numbers. A plus bi minus c plus di. In order to do the subtraction of two complex numbers, we need to subtract it in a group. That is a minus c plus b minus di. For example, if 2 plus 3i and 1 plus 5i are given, in order to subtract it, first we have to subtract it in group. First is 2 minus 1 plus 3 minus 5i. So the subtraction of these two complex number will become 1 minus 2i, where 1 is the real part, minus 2i is the imaginary part. Next is multiplication of complex numbers. Multiplication of two complex number, for example a plus bi into c plus di, is done by multiplying in groups. First is ac minus bd plus AD plus BC into I. For example, if we need to multiply 2 plus 3i into 1 plus 5i, then we have to multiply it in group. That is 2 into 1 minus 3 into 5, that is 15, plus 2 into 5, that is 10, plus 3 into 1. So here we will obtain minus 13 plus 13i. Here minus 13 is the real part and 13i is the imaginary part. Next is division of a complex numbers. A plus bi divided by c plus di. In order to divide it, we have to divide it in group, that is by rationalization. Here the denominator is c plus di. During rationalization, we will take the conjugate of the denominator. The conjugate of c plus di is c minus di. So we have to multiply and divide it throughout by c minus di. A plus bi into c minus di, c plus di into c minus di. In the numerator, it will multiplies like a into c minus a into di minus plus bi into c and minus bdi square. Since I square is equal to 1, that is I square is equal to minus 1, we can take it as minus 1 or else we can group it. So this is the way of dividing or division of a complex number. I hope you understood the properties of addition, subtraction, multiplication and division of complex numbers. Next is complex plane. A complex number can be plotted on a plane with two perpendicular coordinate axes. We know that we can plot a graph by using 2 points, but only the positive point. But here a complex number also, a combination of both positive and negative number also we can plot inside a graph. That is called as a complex plane. The horizontal axis is called real axis and the vertical y-axis is called as imaginary axis. XY plane is known as the complex plane. The whole XY plane is considered as the complex plane. So we modify the familiar coordinate system by calling the horizontal axis the real axis and vertical axis the imaginary axis. Each complex number a plus bi determines a unique position vector with the initial point 0, 0 and the terminal point a, b. So in a complex number a plus bi, which determines a unique position vector. So it determines a unique place in the graph, the initial point where the x and y axis meet, and that point is considered as the origin or the OO coordinate. And the terminal point is that point where we plot the complex number in that, the group of xy axis, that is AB terminal point. So this is the way of plotting a complex number in a complex plane. First one is minus 2 plus 5i. Here minus 2 is a negative number, so it will be in the negative x-axis, and 5 is a positive number which will be in a positive plane of y-axis. Next is 2 plus 2i. Both x and y are positive, so it is in the right hand side. Next is 4 minus 3i. So 4, positive part of x-axis but negative part of the y-plane. That comes below the x-axis. Next is minus 4 minus 3i, which comes below the x-axis and in the left hand side. That is, both the imaginary and the real part are negative itself. Next is absolute value of complex numbers. The distance the complex number is from the origin on the complex plane. So whatever distance we measure of a complex number will be from the origin point OO. If you have a complex number a plus bi, the absolute value can be found by using the formula square root of a square plus b square. So in order to find the absolute value of a complex number is a combination of real and imaginary part where we have to plot it in a graph on a complex plane. In order to know the distance of the complex number from the origin part or from the y-axis or the x-axis, we have to find the distance from the origin point OO itself. That is 0, 0. So the distance of that complex number in a complex plane is given by the formula square root of a square plus b square, where a is the real part and b is the imaginary part. For example, minus 2 plus 5i. Minus 2 is the real part and 5 is the imaginary part. So square root of a square, that is minus 2 square plus 5 square, will become 4 plus 25, that is root 29. This root 29 is the distance of that complex number from the plane. So next is minus 6i. The real part is not given, so it can be taken it as 0, and next is the imaginary part, that is minus 6. So minus 6 square 36 and root of 36 is 6. So here the distance of minus 6i from the origin point will be 6. The next topic is the square roots of a negative real number. So in order to find the square root of a real number, the complex number system has been introduced. That is I square, which is also equal to minus 1. If we make the square of that minus I square, it will become I. So it is equal to minus 1. Therefore, the square roots of minus 1 are I or minus I. However, by the symbol root minus 1, we would mean I only. If they are given a question like what are the square roots of minus 1 or the roots of minus 1, we can take it as I or minus I. But if they ask what is the symbol of root of minus 1, then we need to mention it as I only. Now we can see I and minus I both are solutions of the equation x square plus 1 or x square is equal to minus 1. Similarly, root 3i whole square is equal to root 3 whole square into I square. Since I square is minus 1, 3 into minus 1 will become minus 3. Therefore, minus root 3i whole square is also equal to minus root 3 whole square into I square, which is equal to minus 3. So this is a simple example in order to understand I square is equal to minus 1 and minus I whole square is equal to I, which is equal to minus 1 itself. These are the identities. Just like the algebraic identities, the identities in the complex number is also taken. So first one is, it is not is equal to, sorry, it should be z1 plus z2 whole square. It is same as that of a plus b whole square. Here a can be taken it as z1 and b can be taken it as z2. So a plus b whole square is a square plus b square plus 2ab. In the same way, z1 plus z2 whole square is z1 square plus z2 square plus 2z1 z2. In the same way, second one, a minus b whole square. Third, a plus b whole cube, a minus b whole cube, and a square minus b square. In the place of a, we can take it as z1, and the place of b, we can take it as z2. All identities which are true for real numbers can also be proved true for all complex numbers. So these identities are true for both real and complex numbers. The next topic is, and the basic introduction is, the modulus and conjugate of a complex number. Let z is equal to a plus ib. Z can be any complex number and is taken as a plus ib. So it is a complex number. Then the modulus of z is denoted by bar, that is a 2 straight vertical line. Inside that we have to write that alphabet z, that is a complex number, is defined to be the non-negative real number. So if we take a modulus, then it is considered as a non-negative real number. And the conjugate of z, denoted as z is a complex number a minus ib. If z is a plus ib, the conjugate of z is a minus ib. Therefore, the modulus is a non-negative real number. When a negative number comes, the modulus will change into a positive real number. Conjugate. If z is equal to a plus bi is a complex number, then its conjugate is denoted by z bar. So z bar is equal to a plus bi whole bar, where this bar signifies a minus bi. So this thing we have to keep it in mind always. The conjugate will be a negative form of a positive number or a positive form of a negative number. Let us move on to the important topic, that is conjugate theorems. Here the important statements of conjugate theorem has been given. First one is, the conjugate of the complex number is the complex number itself. The conjugate of the conjugate, it means a double conjugate. Okay, a single conjugate or a single bar signifies a negative number, whereas the double conjugate, the double bar, signifies a positive number itself. Okay, that is minus of minus becomes plus. In the same way, the conjugate of the conjugate of a complex number is always a positive number or a complex number itself. Next is, the conjugate of the sum of the two complex numbers equals the sum of their conjugates. That is, there is a sum of two complex number, and upon that there is a conjugate also, that is the conjugate of sum of two complex number is always equal to the sum of their conjugate number itself. Theorem is the product of a complex number and its conjugate is a non-negative real number. Thus, if z is equal to a plus bi, then z bar is equal to a square plus b square. These are the theorems, and whereas these are the formulas which you need to remember. Z into z bar is equal to a square plus b square. Next is z double bar. I already told you, that is a double conjugate will always become a complex number. A complex number which has a double conjugate, then it retains the simple complex number itself. That is z double bar will become z itself. Next is z plus w whole bar is z bar plus w bar. Next is z into w whole bar will become z bar into w bar. If n is a positive real number, we define the principal square root of minus n as root minus n is equal to I root n. This n can be any natural number, okay, and sorry, it can be any real number, because a real number will be having a negative, positive and a 0. Here minus n is considered as minus 1 into n. We know that root of minus 1 is always equal to I. So root of minus n is equal to I root n. So these are the important formulas which comes under conjugate, complex conjugate system. So we have to know each and every theorems or the formulas pertaining to those theorems so that we can solve the problems easily. Next is the powers of I. If I is equal to root minus 1, then I square is equal to minus 1. We know that I cube is equal to minus I to the power of 4 is 1, I to the power of 5 is I to the power of 6 is minus 1, and so on. For I to the power of n, divide n by 4. So that is the thing we need to do. If n is evenly divisible by 4, then I to the power of n is equal to 1 always. If the remainder is 1, then I to the power of n will become I. If remainder is 2, then I to the power of n will become minus 1. So these are the things you need to understand and memorize. Whatever powers are there, okay, so whatever powers are there, if we divide it by 4 or if we divide it by 2 or 4, okay, so what happens when it completely divides, then it will become 1. If remainder comes, if the remainder is 1, then I to the power of n will become I. If remainder is 2, then I to the power of n will become minus 1. And if remainder is 3, then I to the power of n will become minus I. So these are the things we have to keep it in mind. So powers of I. We could continue, but notice that they repeat every group of 4. For every I to the power of 4, it will become 1. So for example, to simplify higher powers of I, then we will group all the I fourths and see what is left. You can see here, for example, I33 is given and we don't know what is the value we obtain after solvation. So this I33 can be written as I to the power of 4 to the power of 8. So 8 fours are 32 into one more I is there. One more I signifies I to the power of 1. So this 32 plus 1 will become 33. Okay. So we know that I to the power of 4 is always equal to 1 itself. So it will become 1 to the power of 8. 1 to the power of 8 is 1 to the power of any countless number or infinite number, it will be 1 itself. So 1 into I will become I. In the same way, I to the power of 83 is given. So this we can differentiate as I to the power of 4 whole to the power of 20. That is 20 into 4 is 80 into I to the power of 3 is there. 80 plus 3 is 83. So we know that I to the power of 4 is always 1. So 1 to the power of 20 is always 1 itself. So 1 into I3. So I to the power of 3 is always equal to minus I. Okay, these are the things we need to keep it in mind. Quadratic equations. So this is the last topic of this introductory part, quadratic equations. You might have studied quadratic equations in your SLC chapters. So quadratic equations is the basis of solving a square root which has a equation which has a degree 2. If an equation has a degree 2, then it is said to be a quadratic. Okay, so let us consider the following quadratic equation: ax square plus bx plus c. So the highest power is 2. If the highest power is 2, then it will be quadratic. If the highest power is 1, then it will be linear. If the highest power is 3, then it will be cubic. Okay, so here we discuss only about the quadratic equation where the highest power will be 2. So ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0 with real coefficients a, b, c, and a should not be equal to 0, because if a will become 0, then it will not be a quadratic equation, because the x square will goes. It will become a linear equation. So a, the first constant a should not be 0. Also, let us assume that b square minus 4ac is less than 0. Why less than 0? Because if it become less than 0, it will be negative number. Negative means complex. Okay, imaginary. Now we know that we can find the square root of a negative number. So we can find out the square root of a negative real number in a set of complex number, that is I. Therefore, the solution to the above will come. That is, for example, x square plus 2. X square plus 2 can be written as x square is equal to minus 2. X is equal to plus or minus square root of minus 1. We know that root of minus 1 is I. So this solution for x will become x is equal to plus or minus root 2 into I. In the same way, we have to solve all the equations. So here in quadratic equation, there is a very important formula which you have already read in your 10th standard. In the complex number system, the solution is ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0. And the very important formula is x is equal to minus b plus or minus square root of b square minus 4ac by 2a. Whereas inside the square root, that b square minus 4ac is said to be determinant or discriminant. So determinant or discriminant of a quadratic equation is b square minus 4ac, is called as discriminant or delta. So b square minus 4ac, if this is greater than 0, then the solution, we will get two unequal real solutions. If b square minus 4ac is equal to 0, then there will be repeated real solutions. And b square minus 4ac, if it is less than 0, there are two complex solutions. The solutions are conjugates of each other. So these are the rules which we have to memorize always in order to do the problems properly. Next are some of the set of rules what we have to follow in order to do the problem. The discriminants tells us what type of solution we have. So ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0, where the formula for this quadratic equation is x is equal to minus b plus or minus square root of b square minus 4ac whole divided by 2a. If we have a quadratic equation and are considering solutions from the real number system, using the quadratic formula, one of the three things may happen. So these are the three set of rules which we have to follow while doing the discriminant problem. First is the stuff under the square root. The stuff which they are mentioning is b square minus 4ac. Okay, the formula b square minus 4ac, the discriminant. So the discriminant under the square root can be positive and we had get two unequal real solutions. That is, after solvation, if we get b square minus 4ac greater than 0, then we will get two unequal real solutions. Second one is the stuff under the square root can be 0. We will get one solution called a repeated or double root because it would factor into two equal factors. So if b square minus 4ac is equal to 0, we will get two solutions which are equal solutions. Next is the stuff under the square root can be negative and we will get no real solution. So this is the third case. So the discriminant is given by a symbol triangle that is called as delta. So this delta is equal to b square minus 4ac, or the discriminant is equal to b square minus 4ac. So these three things we have to keep it in mind always. That is, if b square minus 4ac is greater than 0, if it is a positive number, then we will get two unequal real solutions. If b square minus 4ac is equal to 0, then we will get two equal solutions. And if b square minus 4ac is less than 0, then we will get no real solutions. So these are the things we have to keep it in mind. So after knowing all the basic concepts of any mathematical concept, we have to know where we are applying it in our real life. So without knowing where we are applying the mathematical problems, applications, or the theorems of it, then there will be no use in learning. So each and every lesson is important if we want to pursue a career in science. So there are numerous applications. Students might think, what is the use of learning all these things, trigonometry, complex numbers, etc. Each and every subject has its own applications in real life and also in scientific field, in industries also. So each and every student has to know what is the application of each and every chapter you are learning from 10th or from your first standard to wherever in future you are going to learn in engineering or something. So first is complex number has a wide range of applications in science, engineering, statistics, etc. or applied mathematics. In applied mathematics, for solving different equations with function of complex roots. So if you want to make up a career in mathematics, if you want to become a professor, then in that case also these complex numbers systems will come. For example, Cauchy's integral formula, calculus of residues. In electric circuits, to solve electric circuit problems. In physics also it will come. Then how complex numbers can be applied to the real world? One is electric field and magnetic field. In physics, you might have learned about electric field and magnetic field. In that case also, we will use the complex number system. Application in Ohm's law. So wherever resistors, current, voltage and all will come. So in electricity. So everywhere this complex number system will come. In the Rho-Clockers method, it is especially important whether the poles and zeros are left and right of the half planes. For example, in satellite communication system, in mobile tower, satellite technology, everywhere this complex number system comes. A complex number could be used to represent the position of an object in a two-dimensional plane. So in order to find out a plane in a globe, in order to find out a particular location or something, there also we can use this complex number system. So I have taken the references from some of the textbooks and also from Google. For example, from Wikipedia, How Stuff Works, Advanced Engineering Mathematics and Complex Analysis. Some of the pictures I have taken and some of the information regarding the applications I have taken from these books. If you have any questions, kindly comment me on the comment section. If you have any suggestions about my videos also, please comment me on the comment section. Thank you. Thanks for watching my videos. Thanks a lot.